Hello guys, welcome back to a short tutorial here on Solid Motion VFX, and we'll be using FUMEFX again inside of Cinema 4D. This time we want to create a basic simple setup for what could be a really good advanced rotor wash scene when a helicopter is about to land and it creates this swirly dust. So let's take a look at what I created here. Very simple setup. Here's the chopper. I got a free download, a drone chopper, and let's look at the animation. Of course, we're just going for the dust effect. So this one effect where it's just blowing in front of it, and this is just here. I turned on the wavelet, and to better explain that, let's just pause it here. Let's actually look at this. Here, if you turn on the wavelet, you get this more detailed, dense look, where if you just go with the default, you get this more lighter version, so to speak. So that's what I have here. And if we go forward again, here I did it without the wavelet, and I lowered the opacity a lot, and that actually sells the effect a lot more. So this will be the effect I'll be working on later when I'm gonna refine this effect, because it took me a while to really understand how the parameters works. I'm still trying to refine it when we look at the settings, because it's kind of hard with this built-in particle system in Cinema 4D to actually get this swirling around. I haven't figured that part out yet, but I will crack the code eventually. So here's the scene. I just downloaded a free chopper. This is actually a really cool chopper. You have these cannon on the sides, camera inside, the drone camera here, and everything is controlled. You can open the null here. Everything is controllable. You have the guns. You can, of course, rotate them. You have the camera. You have the wheels below. So everything is here very nicely. So just want to say quickly for the animation. I mean, we're not gonna do the animation. We're just gonna show the basic setup for the actual the dust, the rotor wash. Okay, so let's start by creating a null object. We will rename that to control chopper, and with this we will make it a cube. We want to see the cube and scale it up. And we want it to be just around middle of the chopper, because it's gonna control this body here, like so. So this will be the one we're gonna use to control the chopper instead of using this null, because otherwise sometimes you can actually control one of these light wheels, drone camera, whatever. So I just find it much more suitable, much more easier to control via this. So make this drone chopper a child of the control chopper, and now we can just basically control it with this null we just created. So that's good, and let's just create a simple animation here. And let's see here. Let's go into the primary rotor, and we want to animate that as well. So let's see. We're gonna go in and set a keyframe for that, and just go all the way to the last frame here, and crank up the volume to, let's say, 40,000, and like so. Set that keyframe. Let's see what we got. Now we should have a spinning rotor. Yes, and we'll do the same with the secondary rotor. And what we want to do now, because you see it's gonna start slowly and then it's gonna ramp up, we want a constant speed. So let's go up to the window and go down to the timeline F curve, and we'll check the primary rotor first. Select the spline, Control A for the primary, and let's see here, make it a linear like that, and the same for the. Now we should have a constant speed here. Let's look at it. Alright, so that's good enough for me. Okay, so let's go in and work on our emitter. So let's go to Simulate Particles Emitter. Okay, and let's turn it 90 degrees. And I just want to adjust the size here, so I need to see how big my chopper is. So go into the emitter and scale it up a little bit. Move it below here, like so. Okay, so this is what we want. This will be our starting point. Okay, let's go in and work on the emitter here. So for the emitter setup, let's start by going and make it a cone and 90 degrees, so it spreads out. And let's go back here, 600 frames for the lifetime. That's way too much, but we're gonna adjust that later. Speed, we're gonna crank that really high up here, 1800 centimeters. For the stop emission, it's gonna basically be let's see here, it's gonna be all the way lifetime 11 frame. We want only the particle to live for 11 frames here. Yeah, and what I noticed right away is we need much more particles right now. Let's just bring in 1000. Man, it's gonna be good when we get X particles to work with this. Okay. So we have the lifetime, the birth rate to 1000. So let's see here. Emitter 90 degrees. So that thinks that should be that for now. And then let's go in and add a force here. Simulate. We'll add in a wind, and you can see the arrow where it's pointed at, which way it's directed at. Let's just turn that upwards, like so. Maybe move it just around below here, and let's see what we got now. And for the wind, let's give it 65 and a turbulence of 20%. Let's see what we got now. So now we got this a little bit violency going on down there, which is what we want. Okay, and let's see here. Let's go in and add a particle source, and we'll drag in the emitter to the particle source. And let's see here, for the value for the particle source, we want to crank up the radius when we can see the particles. We want to crank up. Right now you can see these yellow dots here. around the end of the particles, we want the value to be around 40, really big like this. So let's see what we got now. Yeah, that would be a good starting point. We could probably say 38. That's good. And let's see when the chopper comes here. Let's start it here. That's around frame 126. So what we do, we go back to the emitter. We'll set a keyframe here, and then we go one back here, and we'll just put a keyframe 0 and enable the keyframe, so we have 0 particles there. Now the particle will start when the chopper is nearby. Of course, what you should do here, let's also move, let's go back to 126 when it actually starts. Like so. You should animate where the chopper rotation wise, so it leans towards the tail, leans a bit down, and it looks a bit up. That makes it more realistic. So those things I'm gonna let you play with, of course. So let's go in and add a FUMEFX grid. Let's go all the way back, and we gonna make that big. Let's go into the FUMEFX, and let's ensure that we have the particle source. Bring that down here. Viewport, we want to see the GPU. General tab, we're going to play with the grid here. Let's move the chopper in place around here. So we definitely need some width here and some length as well. So we're not gonna cut off, but as you're gonna do a lot of sims, you're gonna play with that and actually adjust it along the way. But just give a lot of space in the beginning, because you know you're gonna need it. Give it some height, and also maybe a little more on the width. Okay, so this is our grid here, and if you want the wavelet on, like I mentioned before, you're gonna go into the simulation tab all the way to the bottom, and extra detail, put enable wavelet. That can give you that extra detail. Okay, so we will go in and start to adjust some settings here. Let's go from the top. The quality, when you have fast moving particles, you wanna crank the quality up. That's gonna help. 250 on iterations, and the advection stripe, lower that down 0.5, time scale 1.2, sorry. And let's see here, for the gravity we leave that, but the vorticity strength, let's lower that down to 0.6. And for the X turbulence here, we give it 3. We want some violence in there. Scale, we will scale that down to 8. Detail levels, crank that up, and we want to block it on the Z so it doesn't penetrate the floor of the grid. We don't want any fuel here, so disable that. And for the smoke, we'll say smoke buoyancy 2. I know we have the wind force, so it won't affect that much, but it's just so it doesn't, it's just gonna dampen it a little bit on the strength regarding how fast it rises. And for the disposition strength, we'll give it a 75. And let's see here, we will not touch anything in the temperature right now. So go in and add also 2 lights here. For this slide, remember to enable the ray traced hard, and we will make another one here, and we will have to bring that into the illumination tab for FUMEFX, lights, both of them in there. And for the step size, 200 and jittering 25. We don't need to enable the multiple scattering for now. So we have the particle source in here, and let's see here for the simulation time scale. We have all that in place. Let's go into the rendering tab. Step size, let's crank that up to 110 here, and we're not gonna render fire, so disable that. For the smoke, depending on the thickness or how much thin you want it to be, let's just start with, let's just go with 0.3. And here, of course, whatever your color you want, you set that in here, like so. So this is basically the setup we have right here. If you put a ground floor here, then remember, go up to tags and then put in a compositing tab, and then disable receiving shadows, because this tag here on your object, that you don't want the ray trace shadow to be on. So basically, here's the setup. Let's do a quick sim here. We'll take that, put that above here as always. Right now our spacing is pretty high. We'll just see if we want to have that initial burst setup, which it does looks like actually we have. Yeah. And then here we'll pause it, and you can do a quick render here. And if you want to lower that even further down, 0.1 maybe, and look what happens if we enable the multiple scattering on. Then you have like the trace of lights are penetrating more the shadows in here. We can turn it off again, look at it, and let's go back to the FUMEFX and rendering, and the opacity is pretty low right now, so that, yeah, this could actually work. 0.5. So we have the setup, you have everything you need now. So at this point you should go in and actually crank up your spacing to get that more finer details. So go into your general tab, and right now you can see the spacing is almost 18 centimeters. So let's say 7 centimeters. You get a simulation time of 6.4 gigs. I would say 6.5. Take that, and then don't waste time, don't waste computer power on just simulating all these frames where nothing has happened. So if your animation, remember we set the keyframe around 126, we see already 125 something has happened, 124. So I would say go into the general tab and the output range, put that at 123. That means even though that you go all the way back to frame 0 on your timeline, when you hit simulate start, it's gonna start at 123. So it's not gonna calculate all that other stuff. So basically this is the setup, guys. From here you just need to go into play with the wind. You can also add gravity, attractive forces, so there's other forces you can add in here. but just keep in mind, let it sim overnight, because it's gonna take time if you're going for a good result, and then you can actually get some really pretty decent animation going on here. So I hope you like this tutorial, guys. I will come back with another tutorial where I'm gonna use this cool chopper again, where I'm gonna animate the guns, where they're gonna shoot out of them, and I'm gonna have a chasing car here which gonna have a dust wave behind it, and this gonna be blowing like a Gatling gun bullets after it, where it's gonna make these sand dust particle hits on the floor and create some smoke. So that's gonna be cool too. So please, guys, subscribe, like the channel, and support me, and I'll keep creating these tutorials. It's just basic setups. You guys know all the other stuff. You guys are more advanced than me, so you can do all the texturing, compositing, all that. I'm just showing you the basics. So thank you, guys. So see you next time again. Bye.